Mobile games are seemingly taking over with all of the latest showcases from the summer and the recent Ubisoft Forward and Assassin's Creed showcase featuring a lot of mobile game announcements. And we wanted to ask the question, are they taking over? Are you concerned? Are there gaming habits? Are there gamer community responses that are driving companies to the mobile market away from consoles? We're going to discuss this. I'm going to be ending my previous stream that was about all of the Assassin's Creed news. So if you want to check out that VOD, feel free to do it. I'm going to end that stream and bring everybody over so that we can bring them over and discuss this. I asked them at the end of that stream if they were worried at all about the Assassin's Creed push to mobile, and I open up these streams with my breakdown so you don't have to go searching for them, and then I'll discuss it with the live audience. So the videos are longer, but I put everything right here at the beginning. This is a Reforge update. With the rise of mobile games, many are asking the question, is mobile taking over? What are we seeing with all these game announcements and showcases? Having main stage featured mobile games is a huge shift for 2022, more than we've seen in the past. I'm going to walk through all the latest announcements and mobile games on the horizon and just tease out questions and make my own guesses and predictions. Feel free to leave comments below. Make sure and hit subscribe and the bell button. If you want to discuss these things with me, it's the best place to do so on Reforge Gaming, where I stream live. So first, there's been more and more announcements and titles launching mobile versions, and it makes sense when you see PUBG Mobile, Call of Duty Mobile absolutely crushing it, making tons of money, and you're seeing others follow suit. Apex Legends Mobile is already in its second or 2.5 season, so already in their second season. Valorant Mobile Beta is on the way. Call of Duty Warzone Mobile is also coming. Controversy about whether or not a popular map will be there or not. Rainbow Six has a closed mobile beta happening in the fall of 2022, and just recently announced at the Assassin's Creed showcase during Ubisoft Forward was Assassin's Creed codename Jade. They actually showed in-engine gameplay, and it looked actually not too bad for a mobile game. We also covered over on Reforge Gaming the Division mobile game, Resurgence. We looked at the Division mobile gameplay, and it looked okay. It looked a little cluttered with the UI, and the question is, are they taking over? Are all of your favorite franchises going to start leaning into mobile or even going over there instead? Is this just about expanding footprint and profit, or will console games start making the shift if profit struggles? We've said before in some of my coverage that I have my own concerns about a non-spending culture being fostered by a subscription culture. Game Pass fosters this sort of non-buying, non-spending culture of everything is sort of throwaway. You don't really need to buy anything or own anything. Some smaller studios have been saying that it's not the best route to take because of how much it hurts sales. Will smaller studios start to bail toward mobile? I actually think there's a twofold thing happening here. Number one, the mobile market is insanely massive, so expansion into the mobile market makes sense. More and more showcases are going to feature very big names coming to mobile. The biggest titles in the world have already done it. Many people will follow suit because that market is exploding. But concerns about mobile taking over, I do think, is somewhat legitimate. Console gaming has rejected certain types of monetization while mobile has embraced them at a larger scale. Now, this is concerning for mainline titles because companies might say, we can't do the monetization and micro spending in our game that we would like to do. All of the projected potential sales figures are astronomical for these microtransaction practices in the mobile market. The main protection, I think, against a total market slide is it would oversaturate the mobile market, and console and PC gaming is still very strong, with PC gaming likely being our savior. PC gaming growth predictions are set to be so great that entire companies are altering their future plans and strategies. Capcom, Sony, and many others are saying PC gaming is going to have such a huge rise and such a big growth. We need our games in those places. I think that's going to keep gaming in a healthy place so there's not this total landslide gold rush over to mobile. Number one, it would oversaturate and cannibalize that market, but it would leave console and PC gaming high and dry. Let me know what you think with all the latest mobile game announcements. Does it feel like mobile is taking over? Are you worried? Head over to Reforge Gaming to discuss these topics with me live. And as always, I'll see you in the next video. All right, I want to know what you guys think. This was something that came up during our breakdown of the showcase. How do you feel about your favorite titles getting into mobile gaming? What is this a concern? Are you worried? I noticed there were tons of people commenting during the showcase that were sort of like, ugh, another mobile game. Oh my gosh, why is there so many mobile games? And I just said, look, man, it's a massive market. This is going to become way more common, way more normative and normal that we're going to see these mobile games announced during gaming showcases. Do you think with Microsoft Blizzard's purchase and included as King Gaming that this will make a Game Pass mobile? A mobile Game Pass would be interesting, Mike Quad, because they'd have to play nice with Apple. Apple isn't going to be too fond of Microsoft after Microsoft helped Epic Games launch Fortnite through the browser, through cloud, to get around the Apple Store. So I don't know if Apple's going to want to play nice with Microsoft with Game Pass. Now, that doesn't mean that they can't really convince them to do it by saying, listen, it'd be incredibly lucrative. Our footprint continues to grow. This would be really, really good for you. I think Apple Gaming has their own desires and their own wants. This goes back to the discussion, will Game Pass start showing up on other platforms? I don't know. I highly doubt it, mainly because of what it would do to those existing funnels of people like Apple and Sony and all these people. They want you to do their stuff, right? Now, that doesn't mean that Microsoft won't continue to crank out mobile games through King, because there's tons of money to be made on Candy Crush and the like. Apple has Apple Arcade. They won't play with Microsoft. Right. Great additive comment. Exactly. They already have their own thing. They're not going to let somebody else in the door. Nowhere says, let's not get our hopes up. Ubisoft now is in the same, it's not the same Ubisoft that made Assassin's Creed 1, the Ezio Trilogy, AC3, AC4, Jade, Rayman game is gone, and Ubisoft now is a terrible company. I think the success of Valhalla gives me a lot of confidence in the Assassin's Creed franchise going forward. That's not really what we're discussing right now. We're discussing mobile games, so try to keep it in that lane. We just had a, close to 3-hour long broadcast about all the Assassin's Creed news. We're segued into another stream now. Guys, since we're in another stream, there's over 300 of you here. So the redirect worked very well. At least it seems like it did. Make sure and smash the like button. This is a new video, fresh video. So it needs all your likes again. I need you to like every video we do, especially when you're hanging out and watching in the live environment. It communicates to YouTube that you're enjoying your time with whatever we're covering. Assassin's Creed Go AR game. Oh, the pros and cons of a game like that. Oh, an augmented reality game like Pokemon Go. I think the fact that the youngest generation is ditching smartphones for dumb phones might ruin some of this trajectory. Mobile gaming globally is just... I had to redirect my butt out of bed. What's good? I actually think trajectories for mobile gaming globally are not in danger at all. Thanks for the news, no problem. If you don't want your favorite game to become mobile, don't cry when they ask you for $5. That is certainly a part of the narrative here. Do you have any concerns about the non-spending culture that is seemingly on the rise, right? Hey, somebody else ordered some coffee. Oink Wolf grabbed a bag of light roast. Thank you guys so much. Thank you. Of course I would do that. Are you kidding me? I just got a thing I need to apply for. They're doing like a Bach Lunch Spider-Man thing. You got to be kidding me. That should already be sent to me. Make me apply for it. Apply now. We still do stuff with Box Lunch, but they make you go through like this application process, and this is like a Spider-Man celebration or something. I guess like the anniversary's coming up. I guess. I don't know. Credentials are not valid. Oh, wait. Is that it? No. What the frick is going on here? Copy password. If you guys have never seen that before, we post these on like Instagram and stuff. If we get the Box Lunch, campaign approvals, they send me like a cool t-shirt or whatever. If you guys don't follow me on those platforms, you can always follow me on Twitter. You can always get in our Discord. Everything's Reforge TV. I don't think that mobile games are taking over, just that mobile gamers are starting to find their way into the spaces where traditional gamers congregate and publishers want to address them. Right. I don't disagree with that at all. I think in general, the push for mobile gaming is an evolution. It's been slowly changing, it's been slowly evolving, and more I think that they see it. They see the potential. They see, just how many people are now spending money in mobile games. It's not even necessarily about like it's not even about like how many you're gonna sell. It's about how many you're currently not even appealing to. It's not like, oh, we could make a ton of money. It's those people over there might not even be buying our games right now, right? They might not even be buying our games. It quite literally might be like that's an untapped market. How many mobile gamers have never touched Assassin's Creed? How many mobile gamers have never touched The Division? Eugene says it's not supplanting the traditional gaming market, it's additive. It's about reaching people in places that they currently can't. Right. The rise of gaming visualized. It's not spending really, the revenue numbers are going up all the time. Well, it's not just the spending, I think is what I'm trying to say. They're not just unidimensionally saying, oh, we want all that money over there. There are literally gamers over there who will never reach them if we don't have a title on mobile. Right? Like, the mobile gaming community is a different breed of gamer. They're not the same as console PC gamers. They're very different to a certain degree. Can we figure out some way to not lump in Candy Crush and stuff like that? Like how there are more legitimate mobile games coming out? Is that what you mean? My only concern is that talented devs are going to be assigned to mobile games instead of dope AAA titles. I could see that being a concern, this idea that like they're going to start making, studios move to mobile projects, but usually mobile teams, that's their specialization. It serves no purpose to talk about games like that in this context. Yeah, like Candy Crush. I think people fear if the monetization is more lucrative on mobile, it'll cause devs and pubs to shift existing resources over to mobile instead of adding new resources for mobile. Right, so Graydon, this has been something I've been really harping on. Right, this has been something that I've been really harping on. I have continued to say, listen, if the console realm continues to be one where people feel like they can't make money, right? They feel like they can't make money. They feel like they're constantly dealing with, an employee base or a consumer base, that says, man, we really, really don't want to spend money. We really don't want to spend any dollars on these games. That starts to hurt their potential profit margins. It starts to hurt their potential, bottom line. And if they don't want to make games where that's a thing, where we're taking a huge risk here, we're not going to make our money back. You have to wonder sometimes, is that going to drive people to say people spend way more money over there. People spend way more money on mobile. And the console market continues to beat us up at every level of monetization. Size and scope of the project's bigger. Hitting our margins is a lot more challenging. Meech has a good point. I think in the same vein, it could take away resources that could have potentially been assigned to a AAA title instead of a mobile title. Well, especially when their margins on console titles are sometimes not that great. The budget gets ballooned up, production's way higher, they have way more staff members working, and they're like, listen, man, monetization on consoles it can be really challenging. Let's just get the frick out of here. If Candy Crush is not a game, I guess you can't count Tetris anymore then? Tetris was a mobile game? Well, I don't think we're saying we don't count them as a game. I think if we're talking in the realm of mobile games, are they taking over? The question would be, is invoking Candy Crush helpful when we're talking about the Division mobile game or the Assassin's Creed mobile game? There's different categories and different types of mobile games, are there not? You've got throwaway arcade games, and then you have legitimate games where you can play extended amounts of time. Diablo Immortal would be an example of, like, even if you can't stand the pay to win or the monetization, there's a big difference between the engagement patterns, quality, and style of Diablo Immortal. We wouldn't say that that's equal to Candy Crush. Do we lump them in? Do we compare the classic car market with the current average car buying market? Right. I see Candy Crush on the same level as a board game. Yeah, it's just like a throwaway arcade game, you know what I mean? The top mobile games that you can play, as far as how popular they are, a lot of the times that's one of the reasons they're so popular, is because they're just so throwaway. They're super, super easy and consumable. You don't have to worry about at all, like, what kind of commitment you need to put in. You know, you're just playing it when you're sitting on the toilet or sitting at the bus stop, you know? You think we'll ever see a AAA mobile title? You mean like Diablo Immortal? I mean, Diablo Immortal is a AAA mobile title. Call of Duty Mobile is a AAA mobile title. Apex Legends is a AAA mobile title. What do you mean will we ever see one? They're already out there. The AAA studios, AAA publishers, homie, they're in. They're in the market. They're making money hand over fist. PUBG Mobile and Call of Duty Mobile are bonkers. The amount of money they make is bonkers. How about long play versus quick play? The distinction is the hardware, in my opinion. Mobile is more casual, and when there's a story, I think it's a more fully fledged gaming experience. Yeah, I wonder if we would even say that mobile's more casual. Is mobile more casual? Is it? I don't know if it is. The amount that these people pour into their games with respect to money and time commitment, I don't know, man. I don't know if I'm willing to say that mobile games are casual. I think there's a lot of them that are casual in design and time commitment's low. They're more arcade-ish. Valorant's about to go mobile. Valorant has a beta coming up. I rattled off all the various games that are doing it. Valorant has a mobile beta on the way. Rainbow Six has a closed mobile beta for this fall. Call of Duty Warzone Mobile is also coming in addition to Call of Duty Mobile. Apex Legends Mobile is already in its second season on mobile. Time to interview some whales. How would Valorant work as a mobile game? I have no idea, Valiant. I have no idea. It's such a serious game. I don't know how you would make it work. I'm going to make quick play and long play a thing, and then I'm going to sell t-shirts. I don't think quick play and long play are difficult to understand. I think for our purposes, it doesn't disrupt what we're trying to communicate. I don't think so. I think for my purposes, I think more in the realm of is it like a legitimate game with commitment, or is it legitimate's not fair to use. Long play, short play might actually be the right terminology, because in general, that's really, I think, what it comes down to most of the time, is there's a massive difference of time commitment between what amount of time do you have to put in to, Candy Crush, and what amount of time do you have to put into a game like the Division mobile game or Diablo Immortal. You know what I mean? I do think it's a time commitment thing. It's not necessarily always going to be about whether or not you think it's a legitimate game or not. It really does come down to, is it requiring the player to play it on a regular basis to feel a sense of progress? Do you know what I mean? Try not to be gatekeepy because that isn't my intent. Yeah, it's hard not to sound gatekeepy when we talk about this because it really does start to get into gatekeepy, feelings and dialogue. Because what you're doing is you're saying there are different levels of gameplay. There are different levels of required time commitment. There 100% is. Fortnite and PUBG are mobile. Why can't Valorant? I just think there's a big difference between Fortnite, PUBG, and Valorant. Valorant's like a very, very tight strategic shooter with an econ. Like, I don't know them numbers. PUBG gave no exact number for 2022, but accordingly, PUBG sales were easily 70 million for console and PC in 2020. Meanwhile, PUBG Mobile recorded 730 mobile downloads in the same year. You can see that most of the players now come from the mobile version. Right, because what they're saying is they're saying, listen, this market is just, it's untapped. Mike Quad says, I guess I wasn't considering the crossplay games. These are not crossplay games. Call of Duty Mobile is not crossplay. It's its own game, right? Like, PUBG Mobile is its own game. It's not a crossplay game. PUBG Mobile has more players than Xbox and PlayStation have consoles. I kind of meant like mobile exclusive and storyline, like we might see for God of War single-player game or mobile of TLU or Horizon. When we talk about markets, it doesn't help to talk about products and companies that aren't competing for the same dollars. Yeah, I think I agree with that. I think comparing, games like PUBG Mobile and Diablo Immortal and Call of Duty Mobile to Candy Crush, I do think it gets confusing because you're basically comparing markets that aren't even remotely the same. They appeal to very different consumer bases. You know what I'm saying? You got moms on Facebook playing Farmville and Candy Crush. They ain't gonna be playing, Call of Duty Mobile or Valorant or Rainbow Six or any of these. They're not going to be playing Assassin's Creed Jade or the Division Resurgence. I just wonder with Valorant if the mobile version is going to be so different to the main game that it's worth calling Valorant. Yeah, because it'll be such a big departure with respect to like the mechanics and your motor function of aiming, accuracy, all of it, right? I think it definitely causes it's hard not to say there's going to be a degradation of game quality. You know what I mean? With aiming and with aim assists and I just don't know. Especially for a game like Valorant. You watch these guys play, they move like aimbots. With mouse and keyboard. I think we have to realize console gaming market is becoming extinct. Why make a luxury car when you can make 20,000 eco cars and quadruple your profits? I don't think that that's the case. If you look at the sales of like PlayStation titles, I don't think that console gaming is at all being described as becoming extinct. No. The saturation of the Nintendo Switch and the saturation of the PS5, projected saturation of the PS5, I don't think it's becoming extinct at all. No. That's where my mind went. It's like an erosion of the USP. Mobile games are taking over. They make so much money. That's the question we're asking. Are they taking over? We just did we just watched the Ubisoft showcase over the weekend. They had the Assassin's Creed showcase baked into it. And there's the Division mobile game. There's an Assassin's Creed mobile game. Are mainline titles coming to mobile in a way that's worrisome to you? Why get a console for $500 when I can get a controller for way cheaper? Console gamers are just different markets. Console gamers are just different market. We spend lots of money too. A $20 tip from King Sovereign. That's a big tip through Super Chat. Mobile games feel like casino digital games like poker, designed to make you feel like you haven't spent a lot of time and incentive driven enough to keep you spending money. Why wouldn't AAA studios get a quick cash grab? Console gamers have this also. I think you have to count Candy Crush. Oh, like Paw Patrol and Doom. That might be a fair take. Who's he muting? No, we're not doing it for Super Chats anymore. If you want to time somebody out, you got to do 5 gifted members. We're calling it 5 for 5 because you time somebody out for 5 minutes. Gift 5 members, and you can time somebody out for 5. I'm not doing it for Super Chats anymore. If you guys are going to do that, I want to be adding to the member base. Super Chats are great. I mean, I'm not saying I dislike money, but I would much rather be growing the member base. I play a few mobile games, Dokkan Battle, Bleach, Brave Souls, just to name a few. I would have probably continued to play Diablo Immortal if it wasn't for the microtransactions. It wouldn't have bothered me at all. You know? Heard it here, folks. Lono doesn't want your money. I'm a little behind catching up, but one luxury car makes more money than 4 economy cars. The higher the price, the higher the margin. Well, and that's why I don't think you can look at PS5s and the Xbox Series X and count them out. Just because they don't hit the quantity that mobile games hit doesn't mean they aren't healthy ecosystems that are profitable to stay in. You understand? Like, you're not going to leave a healthy ecosystem that's generating profit for your company. You're not going to do that. Like, console games aren't going to be like, yeah, it's time to bail. Let's get the frick out of here, man. Let's just go mobile. Well, you're going to do both. You're going to do both because you're making money. You're making millions and billions of dollars in profit from these existing, systems. Looks like it's declining. Mobile worldwide from October. App revenue in millions of dollars. Yeah, it actually does look like it's declining. Because in just in this year alone, well, I don't know if I'd call it declining. It looks like it's always somewhere between 20 million and mid 30 millions, right? Per month. I don't know if I would say it's declining. It could be more of just like ups and downs of that industry. There's nothing new mobile games have been making. Oh, this is nothing new. It's a very different demographic. I'm not arguing that it's new, but our coverage of the Ubisoft showcase did seem there was like a general vibe of like, what the frick is going on? Why are there so many mobile games in these showcases, right? Gaming is a multi-billion-a-year industry. There's enough money in gaming for everyone to eat. No one's going to be Sega in the current generation of games. Yeah, I don't think there's going to be a market slide where everybody slides to mobile and doesn't do anything else. Like, I don't think so. I think that's incredibly unlikely. Because, number one, if you analyze those markets, I think people would say, we're going to oversaturate the mobile world if we all go over there, and that's all we do. By the way, if you're new and I showed up on your homepage and you've never seen me talk about these subjects before, make sure and hit subscribe if you want to talk in our chat. Gabriel, I can't read what you're typing. I just reckon, something about gameplay quando. I can't respond to you. I don't know what you're saying. Agreed. Same conversation you might have had with VR 5 years ago. VR is not showing up in showcases to the same level that mobile is, though. Mobile's showing up in like mainline franchises and main stage events. In 2020, for instance, the year in which Warzone became available, Call of Duty exceeded $3 billion in net bookings for the 12-month period. That same summer saw Warzone and Modern Warfare rake in $500 million through in-game purchases alone. Call of Duty's console and PC outings aren't the only experiences bringing in the big bucks either. The most recent annual report from Activision confirmed that Call of Duty Mobile had topped 650 million downloads. Only in PC showcases and Meta Connect for VR. is nowhere close to mobile. Right. I mean, it makes sense. It makes sense because you're basically saying, look, man, like, this market's way bigger. It's way easier. It's way easier to pivot your game to mobile than to VR, I think. Like, I don't want to make it seem like it doesn't, you know, take time and energy, but I do think there's a giant difference between the, you know, the porting a game to the mobile market and, you know, porting a game to VR. So I think VR is going to have a harder time jumping that gap. Having 100 games equal to 10 million a month does not mean 1,000 games equal to 100 million. They're diminished returns moving forward. I'm not sure what you're responding to. For the record, if it doesn't have W16, it's not a real hypercar. Team Bugatti. Microsoft had one of its worst generations in terms of console sales, and yet they're still profitable in gaming. No one is leaving console for mobile. We don't know if Microsoft's posting profit yet for their gaming division. That's not been stated publicly by Microsoft in any of the earnings calls. So we actually don't know. Could we get 75 more likes on this video? YouTube was a little weird this morning with our first stream, and then it took off like a rocket. This one still might have a chance because we're getting a lot of clicks from homepage. Like, we're showing up on people's homepage, and then they're coming in and kind of joining in the discussion and subscribing. So make sure, if you came over through redirect or you were watching the first stream, this is your second stream of the day from Reforge Gaming. Make sure you're smashing the like button. My only point is that having a viable product in a viable market is not something you toss, even if you see a potentially bigger market. If you Ferrari, you keep doing that. Diablo Immortal, Call of Duty, Rainbow Six, Fortnite, PUBG, retro gaming, cloud gaming, it's relevant whether we like it or not. I'll admit, I look for a good mobile game to keep on my device. I just don't have time to do, you know, mobile games. I just don't have time for it. YouTube directed me back to the first show for some reason. That's why I was late here. I'm lurking, so it took me a minute to get to the new show. No worries, MickD09. No worries. This is why I'm not super familiar with mobile gaming market, so I apologize. No, you're fine, Mike. Ask away. Add to the discussion. Even if I have to correct something you're saying, or like when you said, when are we going to see AAA games? That's totally fine. It adds to the discussion. I don't pay much attention to mobile gaming either. If I wasn't a YouTuber, I probably wouldn't know that PUBG Mobile and Call of Duty Mobile are crushing. I wouldn't know that. I only know that because I'm in this industry and, you know, see articles and see claims from people. That's why I push back on taking over, because I think the two markets are connected. Both can thrive at the same time. It's not a zero sum. Right. I, for the record, am not claiming it's taking over. I posed the question so that we could kind of discuss it, because I do think there are people that are worried about that. I myself have uttered my own concerns about the Xbox Game Pass ecosystem creating a culture of non-spending, and you'll see a lot of titles say, we can't make enough money in this format. Or the only way to make money on Game Pass is to add heavy monetization because people are playing the game for essentially free. From the developer's perspective, it's essentially free. And so they may be looking at it and saying, we're going to have to add other monetization structures or go more heavy-handed with the monetization structures. Beyond that, you got to ask sometimes. Like, are people angry about the mobile gaming push because they just don't like mobile games and they have sort of like an irrational hatred for mobile games? Or do they not like mobile games because they don't play them, right? Like, sometimes I wonder, like, are people against mobile games because they don't like them, or is it sort of like almost like a gatekeeping thing? Are they anti-mobile game because, you know what I'm saying? Is it a tribalistic thing? Is it like, those aren't real games? You know, that's not a real game. Well, okay, but it's a huge market and there's tons of people playing. So sometimes you gotta wonder, is it a tribalistic thing, or is it I don't like mobile games? or I got burned by mobile games. You know what I mean? Because I do think sometimes there's a giant difference between somebody who's like, I think mobile games aren't fun, I don't really play them, and people that are sort of tribalistically anti-mobile game. Are they an anti-fan, or are they genuinely concerned for their franchise? Are they genuinely concerned for the Division or Assassin's Creed? You know, as you're pushing into mobile, are we going to lose our games? Are we going to lose developers? Are we going to lose teams? You know what I mean? You're not really sharing or competing for the same food. Unless, of course, dev teams get shifted over, right? I think that's a possibility. I think that's a possibility. I think some people are right to think, I don't know, man, what if they divert funding? What if they divert teams over to mobile game development and we start to lose some of our people in our projects? I'm not saying it's going to happen, but I do think some people are concerned about that. To be completely fair, Ferrari's a lifestyle brand that happens to sell a few cars. I should have used McLaren. I'm against mobile games because the time gating and microtransactions seem to go to the games, but these phones can actually run decent games now. Yeah, I don't think it's automatically a phone quality thing. I do think a lot of people look at it and they say, look, man, there's a lot of micro spending, there's a lot of pay to win, there's a lot of scummy practices in there, and I just don't want anything to do with it. I also think people are like, I don't have any interest in it because you're not going to actually get a decent game. You know what I'm saying? You're not going to get a decent game because they have to downgrade the game so much that you're quite honestly not going to get a good game. Many people probably think that. Like, if you look at the gameplay of the, like, I got a lot of flack for this on my coverage of the Division mobile game. I got a lot of flack for, I was picking apart certain elements that I didn't like, whether it was the UI or the gameplay. And I got a lot of people giving me flack in the comments. They're like, bro, it's a mobile game. Bro, it's a mobile game. And you know what was interesting to me was I basically had the mobile game audience find me on YouTube, and they were like kind of scolding me to a certain degree. Was this not mobile gaming though? It's different though, Paul, because that was basically gaming on the go. I think there's a distinct difference between the Game Boy and the Nintendo Switch. That's gaming on the go. They're not mobile games. And that might sound pedantic, but I don't think that it is, because I think there's a distinct difference between me playing Breath of the Wild on my Nintendo Switch and downloading a mobile game. Mobile games are starting to transcend into gaming on the go because they're more complete games, like Call of Duty, PUBG, Apex Legends. It's a complete full game. It's not some mobile game. It's not some like rudimentary little arcade game where you're dragging crystals back and forth to get matches. Like, it's an actual full game. I don't know. I think there's a big difference between gaming on the go with a Game Boy or a Nintendo Switch. I think there's a categorical difference between that and mobile gaming. Mobile's a huge market overseas. A game was in the top 10 that no one in the US knew existed last year. Oh, for sure. I'd play a dedicated handheld console with a much bigger battery over mobile any day. Until mobile games can match handhelds, I would rather spend the money on a Switch or a Steam Deck. Candy Crushes isn't threatening Ragnarok's revenue. We have to be able to distinguish. Based on whether they are competing for the same dollar, says Eugene. Farmville proved we would all accept mobile gaming at some point. I'm gonna die on the Genshin hill, says Omar. What do you mean? What hill are you dying on? If you guys are just tuning in, we are covering mobile games. There's a ton of announcements that happened over the summer and even recently during the UB showcase, and many people started expressing concerns about the rise of mobile games. And so we we just need to find more mods, to be honest. It's not fair to have two people doing it all during live shows. Sorry, responding to something. People were like, oh my gosh, like, oh, there's too many mobile games. And I started telling people, I'm like, look, man, this is normal. This is our new normal. You're going to watch a showcase. You're going to watch an E3. You're going to watch a PAX or a Gamescom or a Tokyo Game Show. And you are going to see more and more mobile games showing up and spending big money to market and advertise during these showcases. They're here. And to be quite honest, there's more and more of them. There's more and more of them coming out. This isn't like a fluke where a couple of companies are deciding that they want to get into mobile gaming. The more tuned in you get, the more of these announcements you watch, the more mobile games I think you're going to see. Need a mod? Give me the banhammer. Certain people I don't want as mods. The Genshin, Genshin's a AAA quality game on mobile. The dev cost, graphics, scoring, overall quality. Oh no, I'll agree with that, Omar. I'll agree with that. I would put Genshin up there as a AAA mobile game. Yeah, I have no problem. I have no problem with that. I think that's fair. I think that's fair to say that. The thing to remember is there won't be a push from devs to leave traditional gaming. That's what people are concerned about. They're like, are you guys going to start just making mobile games? Are you going to leave these games behind? You'll notice that a lot of the times these devs are announcing their mobile games, they're doing it sandwiched in with other announcements to like give people confidence. Like, we're not leaving this franchise. We're not abandoning it. We're adding, we're breaking into the mobile market. We're not leaving. We have 3 game markets, PC, console, and mobile, says Akuta Papa. You can make a Venn diagram of the 3 sectors. PC and mobile have less crossover than PC and console. You think PC and mobile have less crossover. They're sharing breadsticks. They aren't sharing their pizza. I'm not catching it. Zubair says, you've actually got it backwards. Us old console heads are stuck in our ways and can't keep up with the evolution of gaming. We are slow and out of touch. We're not purists. I don't know about that. I think some people probably view themselves as purists. They're like, yeah, this isn't real gaming, right? I'm here now. I've been sorting out some BS today. You're good, Quiet Shy. You're fine. It really only mattered because I was actively reading a really long blog. I generally can mod the chat if mods aren't around. Like if Creature's busy or you're busy, I can usually manage it. It literally happened when I was reading a super lengthy blog and I looked over and some guy was like, he was just spamming hi. It wasn't that bad. It wasn't like he was spamming something awful. You order pizza with your girlfriend, you reach to get your own. You're not a threat to the other's pizza, but you have to share the breadsticks. Yeah, I'm still not connecting. I'm not connecting the analogy. With the way Blizzard handled Diablo, says Immortal Turtle, Diablo Immortal, it really left a horrible footprint for me. It makes me wonder how many AAA companies are pushing for mobile for the cash grab aspect of it. I was here, I just wasn't actively reading chat. Yeah, Valiant was here, yeah. At the time he spammed the 10 messages. Yeah, it was literally just one instance. It was just one guy. It's not like we got like taken over by a bunch of haters or something. We can always just turn up the subscriber timer and it fixes that problem almost instantly. Ubisoft has shut down the AC1 remake rumors. Wait, have they officially said they're not doing it? Because it didn't happen during Ubisoft Forward. It didn't. If only YouTube had a feature to stop spamming. Yeah, I don't know. We have slow mode. We have slow mode. I don't like turning slow mode on for just a day-to-day stream. That seems unnecessary. It's a food analogy for not competing for the same dollars. Right, like when they make the Assassin's Creed mobile game, it's not competing with Assassin's Creed Mirage. You know what I mean? It's not like, oh no, Mirage is going to sell less copies because people can go download Assassin's Creed Jade, and that's going to be really, really bad. You know what I mean? I get that. Like, I think a lot of people are concerned that mobile is going to kind of cannibalize existing franchises. I actually think this is a better discussion. And I know this is going to sound like Game Pass bashing, but I am curious. So, we're not necessarily concerned that companies are going to abandon existing markets that are working. Like the console market's working and generating profit for these companies. However, are you concerned at all? This is one of my discussion questions. So my first question was, how do you feel about your favorite titles launching mobile games? You know, how's that make you feel? So feel free to answer that one if you haven't answered it. Well, you know, you see some of your favorite titles going to mobile. What's it make you feel? Secondly, are you concerned at all that console gaming is fostering a non-spending culture which will lead to more mobile migration? And what I mean is the subscription service model in the console world, namely Game Pass, is that fostering an environment of non-spending which could make companies say, we need to head to mobile. We need to get out of here. They're creating an ecosystem of non-spending. Game Pass is spending? No, it's not. You don't have to buy the games. You're giving Microsoft money. You're not giving the devs money. There's already been some devs and CEOs that have spoken out about subscriptions. The subscription model in gaming is not going to work long term. So there are already higher ups that are weighing this out and saying that's not sustainable long term. They might start saying the same thing. Well, let's get out of there. Let's head over to mobile. You still have to buy a DLC like in the case of Outriders. Yeah, but a lot of games might not be set up in that way. Or they might say the only way for us to make Game Pass profitable is to really monetize the heck out of our game. On the other hand, as long as mobile is a success and will sustain itself, console PC might even benefit as a result. I could be looking at it wrong. Oh, if the mobile's a success and sustains itself, console and PC might benefit. Right, they get some funding for their other projects, maybe. Also on the mobile definition, mobile gaming doesn't rely on dedicated hardware. If you have a Switch, that's not mobile gaming. Mobile gaming is on a phone or something like that. Hi-Rez is kind of doing that with Rogue Company. It's clear that their new soon-to-be-released mobile version is the priority when it comes to resources. So you're talking about a game that literally made it pretty obvious they're shifting resources, they're shifting their focus and their bandwidth. I wouldn't solely blame it on Game Pass, says Abe, even though it does play a factor, but companies getting carried away with microtransactions have played a bigger part. The market serves the consumer is driving, the market must go where the consumer demands they go. Like in Warrior with a $5 tip through Super Chat, that's the worry. I've seen some who implied they work in gaming, similar to how subscriptions have hurt movies and music industries. Right, like you can't look at the music industry and you can't look at Netflix and think that subscription models, they have an effect on the market, right? They do. They 100% have an effect on the market. And mobile could slowly become a greater priority for people over time. I think companies would be dumb if they didn't look into the mobile market. It's such a high profit and it's easy money. However, I don't want console gaming to die. Yeah, Vardeep, you got to go English only, please. So consumers used to be smart and balanced. If you don't buy games for 3 years only using Game Pass and then cancel Game Pass, what you got? I use Game Pass for smaller titles I would not have purchased. Doom Reaper, I'm going to push back on that because I've had some people getting up my nose about that on some of my shorts about Game Pass. The thing that you're not acknowledging is there is probably an enormous part of the Game Pass funnel that doesn't give a rip. They don't give a rip about keeping their games. Why? Because anything they played and completed in 2 or 3 or 4 years, they don't care. Oh no, you took that game from me? Oh, boo-hoo. I got all my worth out of it. I played it. How many games on average do you think a gamer goes back and revisits years later? How many? I don't think it's a very large percentage. I think the larger portion of the gaming base, especially those in a subscription funnel, they are not going back and playing their old games. They throw them over their shoulder. They're done with them. Even games that I absolutely love, I almost never replay them. It's rare. It's rare for me to do that. Now, I'm not trying to project onto the market and say everybody's like me, but I happen to think most gamers don't circle back and replay large amounts of games. Now, they might do it with some, but not in a large number. Like, I've replayed Hellblade 2 or 3 times. I've replayed Ori and the Blind Forest 2 or 3 times. Will o' the Wisps 2 or 3 times. And that's it. There's very few games that I have trudged back into and replayed beginning to end because it's old. I'm done. You do as a collector, but I don't think that you're common in the marketplace. I think the more common person in the marketplace that does a gaming subscription like Game Pass, they are tossing games over their shoulder like a candy wrapper. They're like, well, that one's, I'm done with that one, done with that one. I have guys do that all the time. They're like, well, if I play a game on Game Pass and I like it, I buy it. It's like, I got news for you, buddy. I appreciate where your heart's at, but most of the consumer funnel ain't freaking doing that. They're not. They're not doing that. I have a handful of titles I revisit frequently, and I would be sure to own copies. Right, but that's not normal for all the games that you try throughout the various years, I wouldn't think. According to Microsoft, Game Pass sub spends 20% more overall. Yeah, but see, that's just such a misleading statistic because they don't tell you where that money is spent. You're literally going to a consumer base that is spending over and above individual purchases they're willing to spend on a subscription service, and you're saying, well, they spend 20% more. They're already spending more than consumers not in the funnel, so you're making a comparison that feels incredibly rigged. Of course, that would be like saying, we find people that spend more money on television subscription streaming services spend more money on digital movie rentals. Well, yeah, because they're already showing they spend more money in the market. Like, it's a terrible data point. Now, if they could come out and say, we find that Game Pass subscribers spend 25 to 30% more in the games that they play through Game Pass, I might want to consider that data point and analyze it further and scrutinize it down to maybe more finer nuances of, okay, what exactly does that mean? But when you just generically say, yeah, these people who spend more per month by subscribing to a service, they spend more money on games. Well, of course. They're already displaying themselves to be a consumer who spends more money than the real frugal, penny-pinching person who's like, they're buying a game, once every 6 months. Like, who are you really comparing them to? Do you know what I mean? There are people on the Xbox ecosystem who aren't on Game Pass. They're buying one game a year? You're comparing them to people who spend such a small amount of money. The other thing you got to consider is how many of the people not spending money are literally just downloading free-to-play PvP games. You know what I'm saying? They're literally, that's all they're doing. They're only playing PvP games. If you got free to play Fortnite, you got free to play this, free to play that. Like, that's going to be a constant, I think, issue, is that you're comparing it to people who admittedly are like, I don't spend that much money on games. I buy like one game a year. I think that's always going to be an issue with that comparison. It's like, we have people who are willingly spending more money in a subscription funnel, and they willingly go and spend more money in other games. Like, I don't know. That one always is going to feel like a misleading statistic. It feels like a misleading statistic. Like, it's super easy for somebody to say, we've got these people spending all this money, right? And they're spending more. And it's like, but they're already spending more. It doesn't feel like an honest representation of how much they're actively spending in the games that they're playing. Yeah, we updated the member badges. What's wrong with that? There's parents who have kids with multiple consoles. Game Pass is real helpful for that. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with Game Pass. The question that I asked was, and I worded it very importantly, this isn't an Xbox Game Pass bashing session. We're talking about mobile games and are they taking over? And the question that I asked was, okay, are you concerned at all that console gaming subscription model is going to push people away from spending? It's going to create a non-spending culture, which will lead more companies to go toward mobile. Does that make sense? I'm not saying that it will foster non-spending. I'm saying I think it's going to. I think we're going to turn around in 5 or 6 years and you're going to have a ton of companies come out and say, we don't put our games on Game Pass because it hurts our spending, it hurts our bottom line. Now, there are games that are perfect for Game Pass because maybe they have a heavily monetized store. Maybe they have lots of microtransactions, and getting that exposure and getting that funnel filled is really, really important to their business model, right? But I'm telling you right now, there's going to be a ton of companies that are going to come out and say, no, subscription model's not good for us. It's not good for our particular game type. In my recent experience, people with Game Pass, which is mostly players, they spend more or are willing to. I don't think that that's going to be normative. I think if you interact with heavily engaged people who talk in YouTube chats, party chats, and Reddit and stuff like that, I think they're just prone to spending more because they're showing that this is a significant commitment and hobby for them. Your data is so narrow and anecdotal. I guarantee you, every single person in here in my audience that has Game Pass, I guarantee you they spend more money annually than most people do on games. You're such a bad data point. I don't mean that as a bad thing. I'm saying you're not a reliable data point because you're already showing that this is something you spend more money on than the average consumer. Like, I'm a bad data point. I have Game Pass, and I spend more annually on games than the average consumer. I'm way more committed. It is a lifestyle business thing for me. All data is good data? No, it depends on how it's used. It depends on how it's used. If you use data to come to conclusions about, is this good for the market, is this profitable, you can use data erroneously. You totally can. You can use data erroneously. You can look at data points and come to faulty conclusions because you can be like, oh, look at this. All these people are spending way more money. I'll give you an example. Facebook did this with data. They misled people with data. They showed people view count totals of people who were live streaming and uploading content to their platform, and it was junk data. It was, oh yeah, look at the number of views. They didn't communicate to people that they were passive views without audio embedded somewhere on the page. So the data was no good. It was junk data. So if you're going to look at me and other people like me and you're going to conclude, oh, Game Pass is promoting a spending culture, no. Correlation is not causation. You are drawing a correlative conclusion. Oh man, all these people that buy Game Pass spend more money. Yeah, that could be a correlating data point, not a causative one. So you can't look at Game Pass and say, because people in the Game Pass funnel spend more money, it is then therefore promoting a spending culture. It could quite literally be doing the opposite. And the people who spend more annually are giving you that false sense of, accomplishment or that false sense of confidence. And the reality is, they're using Game Pass to be more frugal and to spend less money than they probably would without it. Got to agree with Lono. At work last year, we have a new driving app. It says I'm a bad driver every month, not had a crash in 20 years. My workmate crashes almost monthly and never been told he's bad. 4 or 5 games a year. Maybe I'm an outsider, but I probably buy 10 or 12 games a year. According to market research, Corey, if you're buying 10 or 12 games a year, you are way ahead of market trends. You buy way more than the average consumer. The data's good, the interpretation is bad or slighted. Yeah, but what's the data doesn't communicate anything on its own. So the minute you cite the data, Game Pass users spend more money, that's not good data because you have no nuance, you have no interpretive analysis of it. You're just stating it, right? So It's not that the data is necessarily has like a qualitative bad thing about it. It's that creating those stipulations and saying, I'll give you an example. If I went to my YouTube shorts and I said, well, according to our data, every time I talk about Call of Duty in a YouTube short, we average 60,000 views. Okay, that's not good data. I've set up the metrics and the stipulations. I've got one short about Call of Duty, and it took off like a dadgum rocket for whatever the frick reason. So that would not be a good data point. You're checking too many boxes to spit out a number that doesn't communicate anything. It's like, well, that's not good data. Who cares about that? You've done one short on Call of Duty, and it hit 58,000 views. The minute you analyze the data without qualifying conditions. Right, but even stating it just on its own at face value, it doesn't help or communicate anything of worth. And you wonder why companies are looking at mobile games. People love to talk about games, but who's buying them? Exactly, it's like baseball stats. 10 to 12, how many of those you want to yell because you shouldn't have bought it? I mean, that's up to him. Look at the concurrent players for mobile games compared to console stream data. Mobile games are dominating, which is getting Activision to heavily invest in... Oh, mobile games, yeah. To heavily invest in Call of Duty Mobile and Warzone Mobile. That's exactly right, Harold. Doom hit a 13-month milestone, so the badge rolled over. That's a one-year badge. It's gold. Thanks for hitting that milestone. Microsoft will continue to buy companies until there's no third-party games on Game Pass because they won't need them. I see it coming and I don't like it. That's exactly the prediction that I have made. Yeah, I'm in agreement with you. That is exactly why I told people I thought they were underestimating. The 900 IQ play that Microsoft pulled when they said, well, we don't need to put third-party exclusives on Game Pass because we just bought up 25% of the dadgum market. These are all first-party titles now. Just look at Diablo Immortal and Call of Duty Mobile. Activision makes loads more on those than anything. They follow the money, and it's not making console-exclusive games. Are we counting indies or just AAA titles in these annual purchase counts? Yeah, that's fair, because you might buy a handful of $10 to $30 games because you're thinking that they're good or you've heard good things and you want to throw them a bone, or you genuinely liked the game when you maybe tried the demo or the early access, and so you're like, no, this is well worth the purchase. I think that's fair to delineate that, That's fair to delineate that, to say, hey, yeah, I might buy 10 or 12 games a year, but I'm also buying lower priced titles because they're indie or I feel they're worth it. I think that's a fair distinction to make. I do. Because oftentimes I think that there's this idea that buying games is something that lots of people do. And this is common for consumers, right? You think other consumers are just like you. They're going to treat the market and games and purchases the way that you do. And I think that's something that people probably commonly do. Like, the minute you stop watching a show or a certain sports team, it doesn't surprise me that people say that show's dead, that team's bad, that team sucks, that show's still around or whatever. I think people do that very, very often. They think the minute they stop engaging with something that it's dead. They're like, oh yeah, nobody watches that show anymore. And the reality is, people still watch it. People still consume it. I think people do the same thing with video games. They think, well, I buy, 10 or 12 games a year. I would imagine everybody else does that. I buy about one game a month. And other people are like, no, I probably buy between 1 and 3 games a year. The average consumer, that's where they're landing. Now, that could be because they're busy playing a lot of the free-to-play games. The free-to-play games may be driving that number down. Maybe they live in Call of Duty. Maybe they live in Fortnite. Maybe they live in games that don't require a purchase. They're there are plenty of games now that you can play for literally $0. So when you're looking at that market research, it could be heavily slanted by the billions of people who are living in free-to-play land. They just live in free-to-play land. They're like, well, I don't need to buy a game. Just play Call of Duty Warzone all day. I just play Fortnite all day. I found Game Pass has me in a backlog. I'll buy games if I like them before I finish the game, but I haven't gotten to play a lot of games to decide if it's a buy. Dead by Daylight, Call of Duty Mobile, SimCity, those are pretty good games, even if you play them for free. I wish City Skylines would go mobile. Guys, we just hit the 1 hour mark. Reminder. This stream is just not doing what we hoped that it would do. We're trying something new. This is totally just a topic-driven discussion. We didn't grab onto a big title or a big news headline. We were kind of experimenting. If you want to help us out with the experiment and you want to see more content like this, smash the like button, maybe give some members, do something, because we would like to do content like this, but we may be a little early. We may not quite have channel size to say, hey, we just grabbed our own opinion piece and ran with it. Generally speaking, gaming news, you got to latch on to something that has happened or something that's taken place. This morning was phenomenal because we grabbed onto Assassin's Creed. And so this is kind of an experiment, and we would like to do more of this. We would like to do more shows where I just grab a more broad topic or more opinion-driven topic and just throw it out there for discussion. We're having a great discussion. We're having an amazing response from the core audience. We might not quite have the channel size to do this just because you got to kind of earn it. You got to kind of earn what we've attempted to do with this second stream. As a thing, I have both new systems. I hunted them down and I barely play on them. I gave my PS5 to my daughter to use since I was not using it. I honestly don't know how you've done that because there's such a backlog of great titles on the PS5. That sounds like a you problem. Either that or you blitzed everything, like Returnal, Ratchet and Clank, the director's cut of Tsushima, of Death Stranding. You know what I'm saying? Bonnie Ross is leaving 343. That looks fake. That looks fake. Oh no, it's her official account. While I had hoped to stay with Halo until we release the winter update, I'm letting you know I'll be leaving 343 and attending a family medical issue. I'm incredibly proud of the work everyone at 343 Industries has done. Oh my gosh. That's a frickin' smoke story. That's a smoke story right there. Well, we got our lead for tomorrow. I really hope it's a cover story. I hope there's not like a serious medical thing. I hope it's not a serious medical issue. That feels like a cover story. They're giving her like a bow out. You know, they're giving her a bow out. I literally said you need to orbit the game around Joseph Staten. I said that last week, and I'll be interested to see who they put in her place. She's brave posting on Twitter from her own account. Most people can't reply. Replies are only for people that probably follow her or whatever. Wouldn't they say to spend more time with my family? Title for tomorrow? I don't know. It's a serious medical thing. Usually the vague medical excuse is a way to let a person save face. You know what I mean? I usually see the medical excuse as them letting a person save face. Like, hey, you got to go, and we'll let you post something that, you know, we'll let you post something that says, you know, you've got a family issue or a family medical thing. I don't know. If it is a serious medical issue, then obviously I wish her the best. That's not something that we would ever want to be disrespectful about. I'm going to sit and bide my time when nothing changes, when people realize the problems are deeper. I don't want to cannibalize tomorrow's show. That's probably our lead topic for tomorrow because that's pretty big. Medical means don't question why they're leaving. If it is medical, it could be a family member in treatments that the spouse can't handle by themselves and they're moving. Yeah, it could be any number of things. Historically speaking, when someone at that level steps down and we are given a generic medical reason, they're being let go. They're being let go, and they're using that as like this will help it from, you know, really hurting your image and your career going forward. You know, that you got, you know, fired basically. Mobile taking over. Well, it's already the most popular gaming platform, bar none. Well, the discussion's a little bit broader and bigger than that. The idea being, you know, are all your favorite franchises going to turn into mobile games? Are companies going to abandon console gaming if console gaming turns to non-spending, to subscription-based? Was she higher up at 343? Yeah. She was like head honcho. Mm. 912, 913, new Halo topics. Halo might make a comeback. I don't know about that. I feel like the future is mobile and PC. I actually argued in my show open that PC gaming is going to protect the gaming ecosystem. It's going to protect it from completely converting to mobile. I actually think that. I think that PC gaming's projections and growth patterns are going to save. So like the console ecosystem, especially like what Sony is doing, like launching games and kicking it to PC way later, I think that's just going to continue. And I think that if you're looking at the mobile gaming market and you're worried that like companies are going to vacate and go over there, mobile gaming will continue to be additive for big franchises. The way that you have all these different Call of Duties and Warzone and everything else, and then they have Call of Duty Mobile, and then they're looking into Warzone Mobile. Same thing with other mainline titles. They're not going to completely switch to mobile. Mobile will be additive, and one of the reasons for that is I think PC gaming will kind of save the day. Yeah. The reason we wanted to talk about this is during the Ubisoft Forward and the Assassin's Creed Showcase, there was the brand new Assassin's Creed mobile game. We saw a little bit more of the Division mobile game, and people are like, you know, my gosh, why is there this big surge of mobile? And I'm like, this is the future, man. You're going to watch every Game Press event. You're going to watch E3. You're going to watch Gamescom. You're going to watch all these press events. And they're going to include mobile games because the market is massive, and now you're seeing big-time devs and publishers lean in. You know? Do you think companies are looking down the road at younger generations who play a lot of free-to-play mobile games? I think some of it's that too. I think some of it's a generational shift. I do. They're seeing that the next group, the next main demographic of gamers are, you know, pushing into like a more mobile throwaway gaming. Now there is some indication that generation is, you know, being a little less likely to use smartphones, but you know, Ubisoft tells Gamer that creative director this guy is making devs wary of working on the red team. Sure. Yeah, probably because for other reasons. Steam Deck. Speaking of mobile gaming, just like that, August is over. Taking a quick step back, here are the top games on Steam Deck for the past month. No Man's Sky is one of them. No Man's Sky is one of the top. Holy moly, mama. It's so, like, insanely thick. Give me 1 second. Oh.
And you'll have them delivering a signature today. It's like right upstairs. First thing out of bed. Putting on with your dress.
Yeah, look at this sandwich that she made me. Look at how thick that is. Oh my gosh. We're literally gonna end up in we're gonna end up in members super fast anyway. I'll just eat it in members. You think Joe is taking over? I mean, I think my Halo coverage is gonna look pretty good if that happens, because that's like what I said. I was like, that's what you need to do. You gotta orbit everything around Staten, and anybody that doesn't align with his vision, get him out. You know? Yeah, Staten tweeted, I'm forever grateful to you for inviting me back to Halo. You'll always be a part of this hopeful and heroic universe. Once a Spartan, always a Spartan. I wish you and your family the best. Yeah. Joe back at the helm could be interesting. Remember who? Remember huh? Oh, that's right. We're going to do that instead. I forgot. We're going to... Yeah. I was going to hold out for $1,000, but this thing is just dead in the freaking water, man. We, I guess, are... You know what it is? I think people probably just see mobile games and they're like, not interested. You know what I'm saying? I think there's just a natural aversion to mobile games. I think that's... It sounded like a good topic, but this thing is going to be our worst stream in probably 9 months. So, we experiment, we try new things, we try out new ideas, and this one, literally, we closed our hand in the car door. This is going nowhere. So, I tell you what we're going to do. We're going to get the frick out of here. I've got... It's not a version, it's a different market. Yeah, like my market sees mobile gaming and they're like, no. You know what I mean? First jump scare, latest comments. That's not him. Yeah, that's an impersonator. I'm just gonna remove that. I can't stand when people do that. Like they comment, it was some guy in like some dream. Try to look like a dream. Okay, so we're gonna schedule this for today at 1:30 as a premiere. Set up the premiere. We're gonna go ambient. We're gonna go 1. We're gonna save. Now hang on. I got to do 2 things at once here. I also need to schedule the members only stream, so when we're done over there, I can redirect it back here for members. I'm reacting to Ginger Prime's video, which is entitled "Everyone is Wrong About New World," and I'm going to take you guys over. And since it's going to be a premiere, you'll be able to be in the chat. You'll be able to be talking and hanging out, and then I'm going to have a members-only stream that we'll come back to when we're done. This morning was absolutely killer, so I'm not upset or discouraged or anything. It's a bit of a bummer. It is a bit of a bummer to have such a strong start for the day go literally nowhere with a topic that I thought was going to be very fun to discuss. Like, I picked it because I was kind of like, you know, a little like, hey, this will be passionate. We'll kind of like talk about mobile gaming and Game Pass and spending cultures. This will be fun. Like, I was interested in it. So I was a little self-indulgent with the choice. Okay, hang on a second. We need permissions to do it. It's a fun topic. It is. And before Ginger strikes you for using our... He specifically said that we could. He said, if you're wanting to cut your teeth on... I can't believe I have to give myself permission to redirect to my own frickin' channels. But here we are. All right, that's been saved. This is so messy. It should be a lot. This will be smoother in the future because I won't have to frickin' go add my own channel. Clock done. Save. You feel bad now? Oh! They need to make it so much easier to navigate, like, having multiple channels. Golly frickin' jeez. Like, the most basic stuff. Ambient. Save. Save. Okay. Now I'll have this thing end and take us over. Perfect. Okay. This thing will at least be a 1K view video. It'll at least be a 1K view. All right. So when we get over there, right? When we get over there, I will set it to an instant premiere, and then it'll redirect members back here. So we will be ending the day with the members only stream, right? We will be ending the day with the members only stream, and that right there is where we are heading. It will be a premiere, so there will be a live chat. You guys can talk and watch me react to Ginger Prime's video about why everybody's wrong about New World. Smash the like button and the subscribe button on the way out. Thanks for a stellar day. If you're not a member, the more you watch, the more likely you're going to get a membership when I'm live. You might not even be here sometimes and you'll get one. So be here as often as you can. So when those generous people gift members, you might get one. Hang on for the redirect. We're going to go watch my reaction to Ginger Prime saying that everyone's wrong about New World. This is open for everybody. So hang on tight or click the link in chat.